come on in because we are here reviewing Ready to Love Season 8. We're on episode 11, y'all. We almost at the finish line. And I know this show is called Ready to Love. But this episode really should have been called Ready to Stay Single because none of these people going to get together. We know that all these people still going to be single at the end of all this. They still going to be single. They have decided, and rightfully so, all these people on this show are going to be ready to choose themselves. And they should, because none of these people are a good match. They should be ready to stay single, and they should be ready to choose themselves. I know this was Let's Meet the Family. What for? They ain't going to be together by the holidays. They're not going to be together for no Christmas, no New Year's. And they ain't even going to be together for Halloween. Isn't Halloween coming up? They're not going to be ready for Thanksgiving, nothing. These folks going to be broke up before Halloween even gets here. This is Ready to Stay Single, ready to choose myself. And we see that Lee chose herself. Well, you know what's so interesting is almost a month ago, somebody dropped down in my comments because I had done this video on Lee. And I had said how Lee has a big ego. This is one of the areas where I said Lee and Chris will not get together. This is what I said. I said Lee and Chris will not get together because although Chris satisfied all of Lee's financial requirements, where they were going to fall short is that both Lee and Chris needs a level of ego stroking that neither one of them will be able to do for the other. Neither one of them will be able to do for the other. The amount of ego stroking that Lee is going to need from a man, Chris isn't going to be there for that because Chris wants a woman that does that for him. And I knew they wouldn't be together. And what one of my subscribers told me down in the comments, he said, Lee's going to self-eliminate. That's what he predicted. And when he said it, I said, you know what? I think you're right. He says, because her ego will not allow her to be not chosen in the end. In the end, her own ego and pride will not allow her to not be chosen. And you know what? She should have self-eliminated. Whether it's because of ego, pride, whatever else, it's all a good, convenient thing. But she should have bowed out because she doesn't really have any real connection. She knows that Quentin was never really interested in her. She knows that Quentin was always had eyes on Janelle. She knew that. And she said to herself, now that Chris is gone, what's the use of sticking around? Because the thing with me and Quentin, it ain't real. She said last week it was blurry. It wasn't blurry. It was crystal clear. It's been crystal clear for a really long time. I think it took a while for Lee to see that. But she finally saw it. And when she did see it, she made the right decision and she self-eliminated. She absolutely did. Now, I know Quentin said he loved the sweet, charming nature of Lee. He loved all that sweetness about her. He talked about how he felt they are sort of the same people. They had so much in common. Then why didn't he choose her? See, this is another part that tripped up Lee. What tripped up Lee was that she still couldn't understand why Quentin chose Janelle over her. Lee is dumbfounded by it. She's dumbfounded. And the reason why she's dumbfounded by it is because of her ego. This is why Lee can't see what's going on. Because what Lee believes, and this is what I told y'all before, and this is not to put Lee down, but I'm trying to explain how Lee's own ego, her own pride gets in the way of her seeing situations. You know, a lot of people always tell me, how do you see so clearly? How do you see these things? You have great intuition. Because there's a couple of things that I don't allow to happen. One is I don't allow anger to start clouding my vision. And the other thing is I don't allow my ego or my pride to rise up to such a level that it clouds my vision. We all have ego. We all have pride. So it's nothing wrong with these things. But listen, let me tell you something. When it rises to a level that it clouds your discernment, it clouds your perception, now that ego and that pride isn't there to protect you. It's actually harming you. And one of the things about Lee is her ego and pride is kind of high. So it doesn't allow her to see what's really going on. When she put herself head to head with Janelle, she didn't understand why she would come in second to Janelle. She ran it down. She says she's sweet. She's fire. She says, I'm in shape. She's not in shape. I'm younger. She's older. She said, I'm up. She's down. Lee ran down all these facts on why she was better than Janelle, but yet Quentin chose Janelle. And one of the things I've been talking about in my videos are when you only look at yourself and what you want, but you don't have enough humility to look at why that person wouldn't choose you, you're going to miss the whole story. And the reason why Lee missed why Quentin was never going to choose her is because what she didn't look at was what type of woman Quentin needed. What type of woman Quentin needed. Now, when that friend of Quentin's came on, that friend said, well, Quentin needs a woman that's soft. I told y'all that. I told y'all that last week, that none of these women were the women that these men wanted. And I was called a misogynist. That's what I was called. And I said, no, it's not about being a misogynist. It's just I'm listening to what the men are saying they want. Just because I listen to people doesn't mean that I'm on their side. I just listen to people tell me what they want. And then I say, okay, well, if that's what he wants, are these people these women? Now, coupled with being wanting a woman that's soft, you know what else Quentin wants? Because his cousin said it. Quentin needs a woman who's going to stand by him through rough times and help him become the man he wants to become. What his cousin told him was Quentin needs a woman that's going to accept him where he is now, which is in first year of entrepreneurship, starting a new business, not completely stable, not completely financially stable, not having the ability right now to provide and pay for a child, not being able to provide and pay for a woman because he's still finding his own way in life. So when you combine the fact of these two things, you could see why he would go with Janelle. Because listen, although Lee is sweet and she's kind, because he said that, the problem with Lee is she's made it very clear she's not here to build with no man. She's not here to uplift a man. She's not here to pay no bills for a man, which is fine. But that makes you should understand why he would never choose her, because he knows what he needs and what Lee is offering. He not only is she not offering what he needs, he's not offering what she needs or what she wants. He knows that he is actually not the man for Lee. Of the two women, what he felt was maybe the best person I can work with is Janelle. Janelle's older. Janelle is in her 40s. Janelle has already built a lot already. Okay, Janelle has her own business. She's established herself very well. What Janelle wants is a family and she wants kids. So what Quentin could come and say was, wow, this is a woman who's willing to work with me. This is a woman who's willing to accept me where I am. But Lee's not ready. Lee doesn't want to be where Quentin is. Lee's ready to move on from that. Lee feels as if she's already built and now she's ready to be with someone. Maybe he's her equal. Maybe he's above her. I don't know. It's not here to put Lee down. But if Lee had given any thought to what Quentin needed, she would have known right away that she wasn't the woman for Quentin. Instead of focusing on the fact that she's younger or she's got all these other things, if she focused on the things that were most important to Quentin, she would realize she's not the woman for him. This is why, even in the end, Quentin is going to choose himself. Because although he wants the outer, the resume of Janelle, someone who's willing to work with him, right? Because she has built a business, she may understand where he is. The problem is he's also not on her timeline. Like he said, I wish Janelle were a little bit longer, a little bit older. He wished Janelle were Lee's age, right? But have the willingness to work with him. Well, that's the problem, Quentin. Those two don't come together. Because women who are Lee's age may not be willing to do that because they're also in their building stage. Maybe they're not in that stage. When they're Lee's age, they're not looking for the same things a woman like Janelle is looking for. So that's the reason why he can't choose Janelle either, because he does want more time, but he wants the woman to stick it around and wait on him. And Janelle is saying, I ain't got time to wait on you. I don't have time to wait on you for kids. I have time to wait on you for your career because I already have my career and I don't need you for a career, but I don't have time to wait on you for babies. So Quentin would have to make a decision. You may not be ready financially. You may not be ready for babies, but what Janelle is saying is, I can't wait on you for babies. Unless you're willing to give up biological kids, Quentin, unless you're willing to be a sperm donor and then later on we have a surrogate and you're ready for all alternative ways to have kids, I don't have the time to wait on you. I may be wanting to wait on you, but I don't have the time to wait on you. And now what Quentin said, no, I want it all. I want a young woman or an older woman. I want her to wait on me. I don't want to be rushed. I want her to have time. Well, guess what? That makes none of these women fit for Quentin. None of them. That's why he wants to. That's why not only will he not stay with Janelle, Janelle won't stay with him. That's why in the end, Janelle, Lee, and Quinton, they're all going to be ready to be single. They're all going to choose themselves. Another part of I'm going to say about Lee that also blinded her from not seeing that Quinton wasn't really into her is because Lee has this part about her. I keep saying it's ego and it's pride. And it's another part of her, I think it's her career that bleeds over into her dating world. And this is the one of coaching. Lee doesn't have the ability to see why certain men aren't interested in her. Lee just assumes that all men should want her because she's sweet, she's kind, she's beautiful, she's got a nice body. And I think Lee is confused on why men don't choose her. You know, one of the best things I can tell women, Lee included, is go back and interview an ex of yours that eventually married another woman. If any women out here are still single and they're wanting to get married and they're really trying to figure out and navigate this road from going from single to married, but you have some exes that did eventually get married, go back and interview those men and ask them, what made you marry this woman, but yet when we were together, we couldn't make it to that level? Have some real courage to sit in front of a person and let that person tell you why they never pulled the trigger on you, because you can learn from that. You can learn from that, because part of what I see with Lee, and you actually see it with all the men she was involved with. You see it involved with Christopher. You see it involved with Quentin. I've seen it with several men. And Lee has the same story with every single man. She tries to coach them on what they need to do to please her. Christopher, levels of dating. Let me show you the levels of dating. What she was saying was Christopher had never really shown any real interest in her. None. She was saying Christopher wasn't really heavily pursuing her. Christopher who got kicked off. Not Chris Najee, but Christopher got kicked off. So she decided, I'm going to teach him. I'm going to coach him. I'm going to show him what he needs to do to pursue me. But here's the problem. Christopher wasn't really interested in pursuing her. She didn't ask the question. She should have come from a place of trying to understand, why don't you pursue me? As opposed to saying, I need to teach them. Just like on the retreat, she sat here and said, I gave Quentin a cheat sheet to my room. He didn't need a cheat sheet. He didn't need a cheat sheet, Lee. He knew how to get to your room. He wasn't interested in coming to your room. Why does she think when men aren't interested, they need directions from her? They need coaching. She doesn't, because I think what Lee doesn't do is she doesn't ask questions, because Lee can't take the rejection. She can't take a man telling her, you're beautiful, you're sweet, you're kind, but these are the things that don't interest me. She isn't ready to hear the real truth. But until she gets ready to hear the real truth, she won't grow. She won't grow because she doesn't know what she's missing. She thinks she has it all already. So as a result, she's not going to concentrate on those areas in which men are turned off, because she's always interested in the compliments. She's always interested in the ego stroking. She's not in a way to get better. She's always trying to coach the man. She coached Christopher. Like she said, she's trying to give cheat sheets to Quinton. Quinton don't need a cheat sheet. He knew where you were staying. He knew exactly where you were, and he wasn't interested in coming there. Even when they went on that one-on-one date, she sat there and started telling him what he wasn't doing in the retreat. She was saying, we didn't have time to spend together on the getaway. Yep, you did have time. He just wasn't investing the time in you. Right? She wanted to say, oh, Janelle's got a tight grip on Quentin. No. If Quentin wanted to spend time with you, it wouldn't have mattered what grip Janelle had on Quentin. He would have got himself free from the grip of Janelle if he wanted to be with you. See, that's what I'm saying. Lee can't take herself. She can't take the rejection. She's got to say it blames it on other things. She's got to say, well, the man doesn't know, so therefore I have to coach him. No, he doesn't need to be coached. If he wanted you, he would pursue you. He would call you. He would get free of another woman. But she thinks every man needs coaching. When she was hemming Chris up in the room after that last episode, she was sitting there telling Chris what he needed to do, what he needed to do for her. And that's what I said. That's Lee's position all the time. If you look, Lee is always putting herself in the position to coach men, tell men what they need to do for her. Let me teach them how I want to be handled or treated. Why? She's teaching Chris. She's teaching Christopher. She's trying to teach Quentin. She's trying to give everybody lessons, coaching lessons. But what she's not doing is she's actually not asking questions. What she should be asking is, why don't you want to call me? Why don't you want to pursue me? Why don't you want to be with me? Instead, what she's doing is she's telling him, you don't pursue me. You don't do this. You don't do that. Let me show you how to do it. No, until you address the why, Lee, you're not going to get the behavior. Until you ask them why they're not doing it, you won't get the behavior. And like Quentin said, he said one of the things that he liked about Janelle is Janelle wants to, when you ask, what do you want to do for fun? Janelle wants to play spades. Janelle wants to have a good time. Janelle wants more low-key stuff. Lee wants to travel, and Lee wants to go ziplining. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with what Lee wants. I'm not saying that. But so then she needs to stop wasting her time with men who don't want what she wants. That's the problem. She's wasting time with men who don't want what she wants. And the only way she's going to figure out what those men want is to ask them questions. But what Lee spends too much time doing is telling the men what she wants. And then they listen to her and they decide, well, what she wants, I don't want, so I'm not going to call her. And then she's running around trying to give people coaching lessons and giving them descriptions on what they need to do to please her. But here's the problem. They're not interested in pleasing you because now that they know what you want, they don't want it. They don't want it with you. They don't want it with you. Lee needs to stop coaching and she needs to start learning. So all these people are going to stay single. They're going to be ready to stay single. I don't care who says yes on decision day. I don't care if Janelle and Quinton walk away arm in arm. It won't last because what Janelle wants is not what Quinton wants. And what Quinton wants, even Quinton's cousin said, the type of man Quinton needs, the type of woman Quinton needs is a soft woman. Did you see Janelle's look? She realized that's not even her. Quentin's own cousin, who knows him really, really well, said the type of woman Quentin needs is a soft woman, and Janelle knows that's not her. It's what Quentin said when he said about his last girlfriend. His last girlfriend wasn't appreciative. She didn't say thank you for things, probably because Quentin wasn't able to do a lot for that woman because he's still only in 1 year of entrepreneurship. And maybe what he thought was, even though I'm not able to give you a lot of money and do these other things, I do these other things for you, but yet you're not appreciative of that. That's probably what happened in Quentin's last relationship. Quentin's last relationship, he probably wasn't contributing a lot financially, but he wanted to be valued for the other things that he does, and that woman probably didn't value him. So now what he says is, maybe I need to date an older woman, a woman who's older, who isn't so dependent on my money, and she'll appreciate all the small things I do for her. She'll appreciate me cooking for her, serving her. She'll appreciate me giving her free workout sessions. She'll appreciate all those nice, kind things I'll do for her, and she won't be so concentrated on the money. He knows that Lee is more concentrated on the money. He knows that she's not going to value all the sweet things. He says, well, Janelle's not so concentrated on the money because she already told us that she's not so concentrated on the money, so she'll value more of the sweet things. But the thing that Janelle values the most, Quentin, is a baby, and you're not willing to give that to her. You're not willing to give that to her. That's what she values most from you, a baby. And if you're not willing to give her a baby, then you're not going to be of much use to Janelle. Not at all. Another person that's going to choose themselves is Aries. Aries and Phil. I told y'all this several weeks ago. Way back from the very beginning with Aries, I told you she was a receiver. She's ready to receive. And if y'all don't see it now, I don't know what I'm going to have to do to let you see it. And like I said, this is no shade on Aries, and it's actually no shade on Phil. A lot of people get offended when they're not for someone. You shouldn't get offended. It doesn't mean you're a bad person just because you're not for someone. Phil shouldn't get his feelings so hurt about the fact that Aries has said, you're not for me. You're not for me. Phil's not for Aries. I said it a long time ago. Phil is not where Aries wants the next man she's with to be. Aries has already left 2 men, 2 marriages. She is not going to go into a third marriage with Phil being where Phil is. Phil thinks all his tenderness, all his love, all his kindness, all his sweetness is going to fulfill Aries. And what Aries is saying is, no, that's not enough. That's not what's going to fulfill me. Because I told you, Aries is not nurturing. Aries is a critical thinker. Aries is cerebral. She's not tender. She's not soft. She's not nurturing. Phil is trying to give things to Aries that he feels she needs in her life, but it's not what Aries wants in her life. It's not. Aries wants the man to pay the bills. That's what she wants. She says, I've already had that other man that was tender and sweet. I've already had him. I left him already. Now I want a man who can pay some bills. I'm done with the sweet, tender man. I'm done with marrying the man for love. Now I want to marry for money. Too late, Phil. You should have met Aries before the two husbands, because had you met Aries before the other two husbands, she might have married you. That was when she was marrying for love. She ain't married for love no more. She's gone to a new phase of her life, and now her new phase is, I'm marrying a man with money. And I don't know why Phil wants Aries anyway. Why is he going back to the same old thing he was with before? He said he was cheating on the last wife multiple times, over and over again, because that woman was not affectionate to him. Why is he still trying to find another woman that's not affectionate, who's not nurturing? Why, Phil? Why are you trying to shove your love down Aries' throat? She don't want it. Move on. Why don't you go find a woman who's tenderhearted and who's sweet, who maybe she doesn't make a lot of money, right? Phil wants a strong, independent woman because he doesn't want to have to be dependent on so much to make money. Sure, he can bring to a relationship for him to care for himself. Sure, he can bring to a relationship to care for his child. But a lot of women want men who not only can care for themselves, but also care for them. Phil's not ready for that type of woman. Phil, go find the woman that wants you. Stop trying to shove what you have to offer down a woman's throat that doesn't want it. She does not want all this tenderness and all this care. She wants a man who's going to be financial provider of the household. And that's fine for Aries if that's what she wants. That's fine. Phil needs to go find the woman for him. He needs a tender-hearted, sweet woman who wants to be cuddled up under him all the time, right? Who's okay with whatever money he makes, which is fine. But that means he can't be starting all these business ventures because she may not make a lot of money. You can't always want women to be both. You can't want women to be strong and independent out here and making all the money, but then always tender-hearted and sweet over here. No. See, Phil wants a strong woman so he can do all these business ventures and quit jobs whenever he wants to. So what if I quit my job? So what if I get fired? Because I got this strong, independent woman over here who can pay the bills while I'm unemployed for 3 months and 4 months. No. You don't get that benefit, Phil. You want a sweethearted, tender woman, right? Who's going to rest in her femininity so she can also nurture you and love on you. Then be prepared to support her more financially, right? You also have to be responsible. You have to be responsible. And Aries says, I'm not the woman for you and you're not the man for me. Aries is firm. Aries is firm. When they was on that little date with the aunties and cousins, then women knew Aries wasn't for their nephew. Then women knew when Aries brought up that money and instability issue, then women said, oh no. They may not have said it on camera, but they knew. They knew right then and there that if she's bringing up money right now, she ain't for him. Phil's over here talking about he wants to bring, life and love and all these other things to Aries' life. Aries don't want that no more. Aries don't want that no more. Phil over here, I don't even know if he has a passport. He ain't been out the country. He's saying right now he ain't been on a bike in years. I don't know why you ain't been on a bike. Don't you got a kid? You didn't teach your kid how to ride a bike. You don't go bike riding with your children. I don't know what Phil is out here doing with his life. Don't you have a kid? You ain't taught them how to ride a bike. How you never been on a bike in all these years and you got children? Who taught him how to ride a bike? Aries said, I don't want to dig. Aries said, you know what? I want to dig deep into the matters of my mind. Did everybody hear Aries? She said, I want to dig deep on the matters of my mind. She didn't say I want to dig deep on the matters of my heart. She said the mind. The mind. But here is Phil trying to stuff things down her throat for the heart. She don't want the heart, Phil. She wants the mind. She wants you to pay these bills. That's what she wants. She's not here to give anything of her heart. She's ready to receive something. Maybe Aries feels she's given everything from her heart from them last two men, those last two marriages, and she's done. At this point in time, she doesn't want that anymore. I don't know. Because on the flip side, I think Aries does want a guy like Phil, but she also wants that guy also to be like she wants a financial provider. That's going to be her dilemma out here. That's going to be her dilemma. Because a man who's going to then want to provide and pay all those bills, guess what? Aries is going to have to be more of a nurturing woman. And although Aries thinks she can just turn it on and off, she can't. Aries actually isn't even for the man she wants. Aries thinks I can be over here cerebral and talk about the mind, but the minute a man comes along that has money, all of a sudden I can start talking from my heart. No, that ain't true. That's not true. No, you can't just turn it on and off. If your heart ain't even built to be open, if your heart isn't used to being open, even when you get ready to turn it on, it won't turn on. It won't turn on because you ain't practiced with it. You haven't practiced with it. Aries leads with her mind. She does. All the men in Aries' life have been probably men from the heart. That's what they've been in her life. Men from the heart, because she likes that, but she doesn't like that what comes with some of those men, they don't become strong financial leaders. Because she said in her video with Crystal XO that her ex-husband, they have a great co-parenting relationship. She says it's fantastic. And that man is already getting married to another woman. I think she said he's married or getting married. He's moved on. He's finally moved on. Remember, he didn't want her divorced from Aries initially because he was probably a tender-hearted man. He probably didn't want to break up with her. He probably loved her, still wanted to be with her because he was probably a tender-hearted man. But he probably didn't provide financially, and Aries is done with that. She let him go. Why would she go back? Why would Aries get rid of that and get Phil? Phil is 2.0. Phil is probably just like her ex. Real strong on the heart because Aries likes that because Aries had a daddy. Aries used to a man providing the heart things for her, loving on her. Like she said, my father would do anything for me. So she's attracted to men like that. She's attracted to men like that. But what she's looking for is she's looking for her daddy, who not only did he love her like that, he also financially provided for her. So she's looking for the daddy in a man. I want you to provide for me financially, and I want you to love me with your heart. But here's the problem that Aries hasn't gotten. Like I said, is she didn't sleep with her daddy. She didn't have to give her daddy physical affection. Her daddy, she didn't have to do that. She looked in front of her father to love her, to care for her, to provide for her financially. Her father did that. But what Aries didn't have to do for her father is sleep with him. She didn't have to give that man that sort of support a man needs from a wife. Now Aries is out here looking for it from a man because she wants the daddy, but she wants to treat the man like her daddy, where she doesn't have to give that man that sort of support. Not going to work. Once again, somebody else looking for something, but not willing to give what they're going to need to give to get that person. Aries got a dilemma on her hands. She's going to have to figure it out. But right now, the guy Aries is looking for is not looking for her. Phil needs to say no to Aries too. He'll cheat on her. He'll end up cheating on her just like he cheated on that last woman because he won't be able to go without that love and affection. And Aries is going to starve him of it because every time he falls down financially, every time he doesn't hit her mark financially, he's not going to feel good about himself. And then he's going to go out to another woman to find that tenderness he's looking for at home. And he's not going to find it, and he'll cheat on her. Another couple. Both of you need to say, we're ready to stay single. Both of you need to say, you're ready to choose yourselves. Don't choose each other. Choose yourselves. And to this last group of people who need to choose themselves and say, no, we're ready to stay single, between Katarina, Maurier, and Jessica, choose yourselves. Choose to stay single. We already know Maurier is not going to choose Katarina. We already know who Maurier works for. He works for Jessica. And just like a diligent employee, he's going to choose Jessica. He's not going to choose Katarina. Katarina didn't choose to bow out. Katarina didn't choose to do what Lee did. Katarina knows Maurier is not going to choose her. She knows it. She knows that Maurier is dedicated to the clan of Janelle and Jessica. But Katarina says, my ego's not so big that I don't mind being rejected. Katarina don't care. Katarina doesn't care because Katarina doesn't walk around with such a big ego like that. She doesn't care that she knows Maurier is not going to choose her. She knows that. And unless Maurier has a whole lot of money he's not telling us about, he ain't going to be the man for Katarina either. Because we already know Katarina's not going to be with no man that doesn't have money. And the only reason Katarina might still be dealing with Maurier is either she thinks he has money or he has money. And I might think it might be she thinks he has it. We still don't know what Maurier does. Entrepreneur. What does that mean? Entrepreneur. We don't know what he does. We don't know how he makes his money. But more than likely, it's not that much because I've seen them suits Maurier wears and they're not expensive suits. They're not even fitted. So I don't think Maurier has a whole lot of money because nothing about him screams money at all. But the women Maurier wants don't want him. I knew that when he was talking about his baby mama. If you ever listen to the story of Maurier and his baby mama, what he says is the mother of his child was fooling around with her ex, even when we were together. But yet he was the one that got her pregnant. You know what that tells me? That tells me that that woman's heart was with the ex, but something else made her be with Maurier. More than likely, what Maurier was doing for her was Maurier might have been giving her a little bit of money, and Mario maybe have been treating her nice. That might be what Mario was doing, but her heart was with that man over there, the one that maybe wasn't doing her right, whatever. So she went over here, had a baby with Maurier because maybe he would be the responsible one, and maybe he was treating her a little bit better, but she didn't really want to be with him. Maurier tries to date up. Mario thinks more of himself than he is. He overvalues himself, so he thinks he deserves the women like the in terms of beauty. He believes he deserves the women like the Jessicas, like the Janelles, like the Katarinas, the Lees, or anyone else. Maurier actually thinks he should be with women who are beautiful like that. Those women are very good looking women out in the world. That's what he thinks. That's why he's over here cussing out Chris, because he's jealous of Chris. He's jealous that Chris has the looks that if he wanted to, even though Chris may not want to, if he wanted to go over there and flirt with those type of women, those women would talk to him. But Maurier can't flirt with these women. Outside of this show, I guarantee you, Maurier can't be in the company of really good looking women, except to go buy them a drink at the bar. And then we find out Maurier don't even want no more kids. All this time, he over here calling Chris a liar. Now we can add another list to lying Maurier. Maurier don't even want no more kids. Barely does he want any more kids. You know why? Because that mother of his child is probably taking him for some good amount of child support. Some good amount of child support. That's what that mother is doing. She's taking him for a good amount of child support. And like he said, he's paying for the child. He's paying for that woman. And that woman's over there hugged up with that other man. And he's pissed. He said, I don't want that again. I don't want that again where I get used by a woman. Well, guess what? You got used by Jessica here. It's the same old thing. It's the same old thing. He gets used by women because he wants to be accepted by these women. And the mother of his child probably is a good-looking woman. Probably a good-looking woman. And Mario's got to buy his way into clubs like this. He's got to buy his way, but he's tired of paying. I know he's tired of paying. That's why he's mad at Chris, because Chris gets in for free. Chris can make these women they slaves. Mario's got to pay. He's mad at Chris. Katarina ain't the woman for Maurier. I can tell you that right now. Maurier ain't gonna want to be able to pay the bills of Katarina. Absolutely not. He don't want no more kids because he don't want to pay no more bills for kids. That's why he mad at that not ex-wife, but ex-baby mama. He don't want to pay the bills that Katarina's gonna make him pay. Absolutely not. Like I said, I'm not gonna call Katarina gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. We know the rest of the words. And Maurier ain't for Jessica either. Jessica knows that Maurier is over here into the mystical, the zodiac signs, the astrology, the crystals, the smoke in the air, the burning the candles. Good Lord. Good Lord. He's so far away from what Jessica says she wants in terms of a man of God. He's so far away from it. I don't even know why she's still sitting here with him. Why is she still sitting here? To make it towards the end? To do what? To say I choose myself? Jessica ain't going to choose Maurier in the end. She going to choose herself too. She going to choose to stay single. And Jessica don't want to be a part of Maurier's family. Did you see the way she looked at Maurier's cousin, Aquanetta, Net for short? She looked down on that woman. She listened to the way that woman spoke. She listened to that woman's diction. She summarized that woman and said, I don't want to be a part of this family. I saw it all over Jessica's face. Just like she said, when she walked out that room, she kind of uppity. Aquanetta said it right. I knew that when I saw Jessica on that show with Chris Alexo, I told you all she did was run down her credentials, how she studied in France, how she did this, how she did that. She's a CEO of her own company. She's got board members. She's got PR people. She looked down on Aquanetta. She can't fit into Maurier's family. Maurier's family is not on the social status level in which Jessica wants to marry into. Jessica wants to marry into a high social status level. That's what she wants. She wants to be up here vacationing in Martha's Vineyard. Ain't nothing wrong with it. She wants to be vacationing in the Hamptons. She wants, like her ex-boyfriend, a doctor, a lawyer, and person with prestigious degrees. That's what Jessica wants. That's why Jessica liked Chris so much, because he came from royalty. He had the pedigree. They were both sorority and fraternity people. They both had degrees. He was his own business person. He comes from royalty in Africa. That's why Jessica latched on him so soon, because he had the pedigree. He was the person that she wanted on paper. But the problem was Jessica couldn't give Chris what he wanted. He wanted a submissive wife. He wanted a woman that was going to listen to him and make him the head. Jessica don't want no man to be the head. She wants to be the head. She gives lists to everybody and tell them what to do. She gives her employees lists. She gives producers lists. She gives Maurier lists to go on here and defend her out in the world. She wanted to give Chris a list. Chris said, hell to the no, you're not giving me no list. I give you list. Didn't you hear my ex-girlfriend? I give the women in my life a list of what they need to do for me. You don't give me no list. Jessica had it all wrong. Chris ain't for her either. All these people want people that don't want them. All these people going to be ready to stay single. They're going to choose themselves. They're going to choose themselves. But I'm going to tell you what all of them have a problem with. Every single one of them. Not just the men and not just the women. Everybody on this show, they all want people who don't want them. They have a whole list of everything they want in a person. But what none of them do is, none of them look at themselves and say, would the person I want me? And what the answer is no. That's the problem. The problem with two people coming together is, sure, that may be who I want, but does that person want me? Let me tell you, when you get married to someone, what do you say at the end? You say, I do. That's what you say, I do. I choose you. And what these people are forgetting, they're forgetting that part of the vows is when the other person says, I choose you too. I do too. What these people are concentrating on, they're concentrating on their I do. When they say I do, I choose you. What they're not listening for, what they're not watching for, what they're not looking for is, guess what? That other person has to say I do too. And oftentimes, even though you want to say I do, the other person doesn't want to say I do to you. You have to find a person in which you want to say I do, but that person wants to say I do to you too. And a lot of people are too busy walking around going after people who clearly do not want you. They don't want you. Maybe people need to start focusing more on people who want them, people who accept you, people who are exactly what they want. Then maybe you'll have better luck finding your match instead of continuing coaching people, telling other people what you're looking for and what you want. It's a lot of emphasis out here on what you want, what you want, what you want. It's really fake and phony, and it's selling fake things to people. It really is. You know something I don't do? I don't go in stores in which I can't afford the product. I don't. I got a girlfriend who loves to go into fancy stores and window shop. I say, girl, I'm not going with you to do that. Why? Because I'm not buying nothing in that store. That store is too high. Why do I want to walk around in a store in which I can't afford nothing? That doesn't give me no pleasure. I want to go into a store in which if I do see something I like, I can buy it. Why would I want to walk through a store and when I see something I like, oh, shoot, it's too high, I can't afford it? No, I don't want to live like that. I want to live in a world in which I can afford the things that are presented in front of me and I can enjoy those things. Just like people who go on vacation, but once they get there, they don't have no money to do nothing. You ever go on a vacation with a broke person? They got just enough money to get to wherever you going, Cancun, wherever you going, Italy, France. But when you get there, they ain't got no money to get no dinner. They ain't got no money to do no shopping. They ain't got no money to do no tours, nothing. They barely had enough money to get there. And now you say, hey, girl, let's go here for dinner. And they go, oh, how much is that? I can't afford that dinner. Then why are you here on this vacation? You should have never come on this vacation if now you don't have no money to spend. That's a lot of people out here. They're out here chasing people that they can't even afford because those people don't want them. Go to places that you can afford. Go to restaurants you can afford. Go on trips you can afford. And go and try to form relationships with people who want you. Stop looking for love in places where those people don't even want you. None of these people are for each other. None of them. This is ready to stay single. This is ready to choose myself. Everybody this season needs to say no. Say no. Anyway, that's it, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.